thorax, mediastinum, and the diaphragm. Okay, I she already posted her PPT with video, no? So we are assuming that you already reviewed, no? And listen to the lecture of Dr. Hakub. Okay, so this afternoon I will be discussing about the. Can you hear me clearly, class? Huh?
Yes po, Doc, clear naman po.
Okay, can you see the PowerPoint already? You can see?
Yes po, Doc.
Okay, okay, so let's continue. So, I will give you an example class. Let's say, for example, that you are in the emergency room, no? You are attending a patient, and then not only a patient, the two patients came, no, to the emergency room. Let's say you are the attending clerk at this time. And then you are the only one in the emergency room, nobody is around, okay? And there were two emergency cases. One case is had brain injury, okay? He came to the emergency room with brain injury. And then the second has, let's say, stab wound in the chest, no? And the patient has difficulty of breathing. Okay, pretending and assuming that you are the only physician in the emergency room. Okay, which of these two patients are you going to give the first, the first, or who among these two patients whom you are going to handle first? The patient with brain injury or the patient with thoracic injury? Huh? Anybody? Chelsea, what is your opinion? Being the first in the class. What is your
Doc,
opinion?
ah,
No?
Doc, for me po siguro
Which
yung
one
ano
you are
po,
going to
yung
save first? The patient with brain injury? Of course, you need to save all of them, no? But I told you the situation is you are the only one. Huh? So whom among these two patients you are going to give your first hand to manage? The patient with brain injury or the patient with lung or thoracic injury who has difficulty of breathing?
Doc, for me po, maybe I would go po dun sa may injury po sa ano, thoracic.
Your thoracic. Okay. Why is it that you are going to manage first, no? And give your first ABC to the patient with thoracic injury?
For me po, ano, um, pag sa ano, thoracic injury po, ah, kasi po kailangan po ma-establish agad yung breathing to prevent
Mm-hmm.
yung hypoxia po.
Mm-hmm. What is the golden period? Do you know what is the golden period?
Ako po, hindi pa
Bila,
po.
France. Ikaw naman, France, being the number two in the list.
Hello po, good afternoon po, Doc. Yung sa opinion ko naman po for that, same po kami ni Doc Chelsea, para I'll go first po dun sa patient with the stab wound. Um, I think yung basic principles po when we follow emergency protocols, yung ABC, the airway, breathing, and circulation. And since
Mm-hmm.
si stab wound patient po, may problem na siya sa breathing, so that's A and B already. I think po yung sa brain injury po na patient, although serious din po yung case niya, but if he's still breathing, tas may pulse pa po, I feel like I can go to him after I make sure that the chest patient, yung sa chest wound patient is at
Mm-hmm.
least ventilating. Apo.
Okay, actually, when in a situation like this, I told you, no, your priorities, no, remember that the golden period, no, the brain golden period is around 5 to 6 minutes, no, 5 to 6 minutes, and if the patient who has brain injury was not be able to uh, get any management, okay, or first aid during the first 5 minutes to 6 minutes, then the condition will be irreversible. Okay, so the patient could survive, no, but definitely the patient will not go back to the normal. Okay, he might survive, but when he will be recovering, when he will recover, there are still traces of abnormalities, no. While in a patient with thoracic injury, I told you that it is very few of us who can hold breath in 1 minute, no. And the that situation makes you okay. I told you you need to, of course, being the physician, no, you need, of course, to treat both patients, but to handle which patient you are going to handle first, you need to, for me, okay, because I myself could not even hold my breath in 1 minute. So what more to a patient with thoracic injury whose thoracic cavity is full of fluid or full of blood, no? There is no lung expansion. Okay, so you need to prioritize patient with thoracic injury, and then after you give your first aid to the patient with thoracic injury, then do something also to the patient with brain injury. Okay, because remember that our we being physician, our vision is always to heal patient and makes the patient survive. Okay, so that is the first condition that you need to take note. No, maybe somebody will say, "Oh, I will handle first patient with brain injury." I told you the golden period is 5 minutes. No, 5 minutes to the patient could survive. No, so that's why I think I told you this also already that in some big hospitals you could find emergency sterilized operating room, no? Minor operating room which are sterilized in the emergency room, just beside the emergency room. So, the hospital, when I trained my general surgery, we have a small operating room that which is sterile inside or beside the emergency room. So this is for this purpose, no? So that every time there will be, because the first thing that you are going to do in cases like this is to intubate the patient, no, so that oxygenation will start. And in patient with brain injury, you can also do the same thing. Okay, so if you have assistant like nurses, because mostly nurses in the emergency room are well trained. No, they know how to intubate, they know how to put IV fluids. Okay, so the first thing that you are going to do is to do your A, no, and that is the airway of your ABC. Okay, so let's now start with our discussion for this afternoon. I am only given until 3 o'clock. Okay, there are only few slides, and I have already I have already posted this lecture in the Google Classroom, and then try to review it immediately because class, the result of your second long exam is not promising. Okay, the MPL is 54, no, and there were around 22 students who were not able to get above 54. Okay, so all the rest, 22 students are below your MPL. The MPL is 54. But in practical, okay, more students pass the practical exam. You have 50 questions, then the MPL is 25. Okay, so let's now proceed with our discussion. So at least our main objective this afternoon is at the end of this lecture, the students must be able to demonstrate. Okay, if not be able to demonstrate, then at least discuss, no, the lungs and the tracheobronchial tree. Okay. So let's begin with our discussion with our lungs. Remember, class, that if you're going to look at the histologic picture, no, we are talking about histology. You need to take note that um, the respiratory system is divided into two portions, no. is divided into two portions. The first portion is the conducting, no? So when you say conducting portion, the moment the air enters, okay, the nasal, okay, the nares, okay, until the terminal bronchiole, okay, is the conducting portion of the respiratory system. And then all the way from the respiratory bronchiole to the alveolus, okay, or the alveoli, is the respiratory portion of the respiratory system. Okay, so you need to take note. Now, remember that when we say conducting portion, this portion is the highway, no? The highway how the air that we inspire will be able to reach the lungs. Okay? So that is the conducting portion. And then when you say respiratory portion, okay, there are already exchange of gases, no? There are already exchange of gases, okay, in your starting from the respiratory bronchiole up to your alveolus or your alveoli. Okay, so please take note of that one. Okay, so take a look at the lungs class. So we have two lungs, the left and the right. And if you're going to look at it, the lungs are conical in shape. Okay, that is according to Torek, they are conical in shape. And remember that the weight of the lungs, okay, it is heavier, no? The right lung is heavier, no? In a normal lung. Okay, remember that a lot of factors might cause some abnormalities or problem with the lungs, no? Even our exposure to pollution, no? If you're living in Manila, then if you are going to look at your lungs will be colored black. Okay, that is due to the accumulation of carbon or carbonate or carbonic acid. And then your right lung is heavier, okay, weighing around 620 grams. And then the left lung is around 570 grams. Okay, so that is according to the weight of the uh, lungs, no, normal lung in an individual, whether you are a female or a male individual. And then normally the color of the normal lung is pinkish in color, no? So these are the lungs that are uh, the owner of the lungs which who are not smoking, no? Or maybe those people living in the provinces. So you will see that the color of the lung is pinkish in color normally and without traces, no, of blood, I mean of black uh, spots, okay, in the lungs. Okay, so it means that the lungs is normal if you look at it and the lungs is colored pink. Okay, so what would be the main function of the lungs? Of course, the main function of the lungs is to oxygenate blood. Okay, and as I told you, the lungs is very vital for respiration. And I told you again, the main function of which is to oxygenate blood. Okay, so how are you going to compare a healthy lungs from a cadaveric lungs, no? If you already saw the lungs in the lab, no? We see that the lungs in the lab, okay, are discolored. They are usually brown to black in color. And usually they are firm and hard to touch, and they are shrunken. And then if you're going to remove it from the soaking solution, no, you will see that the fluids will be coming out. Okay. Now, how about if you're going to compare it with the healthy lungs? Okay, so the healthy lungs are usually light, and I said it is pinkish in color. Okay, and of course, the healthy lungs are soft and spongy. If you have in washing dishes, no, the sponge that we are using, no, when we are washing the dishes, no, where we put, ano ba yung tang sabon o that, ang downy naman sa paglalaba eh, ano ba yun? Okay, that's soap, and then that is how is the texture, okay, the texture of the normal lungs, okay? And then, of course, beside that, the lungs are soft and spongy, okay? The normal lungs and healthy lungs are usually very elastic. unlike in comparison to the cadaveric lungs wherein they are firm and they are hard to touch. Okay? And of course, you need to take note that the two lungs are occupying your pulmonary cavity. We have two spaces, okay, these two spaces which are called pulmonary cavity. The right lung occupying the right pulmonary cavity, and then the left lung occupying the left pulmonary cavity. Okay, so as I said, no, so this is how are we going to look at the picture of a normal lung, no? It is pinkish in color, it is soft, it is elastic, and of course, it is occupying the right and left pulmonary cavity, no? So if you're going to look at this picture class, no, the usual color of the lungs, specifically in children, and of course, those people who are not smoking, okay, and those people living in the clean environment, like people living in the provinces. Okay? And then, of course, the other lung here is the smoker's lung. So if you are smoking, so you will see that the lungs will be dark and mottled. Okay? There are black spots due to the accumulation of carbon particles. And as I said, these carbon particles is very common in places like polluted places like Metro Manila, no? So if you're living in the city, okay, then you will be able to inhale, no, most of the carbon particles, okay, that will give discoloration to our lungs. And then, aside from which, no, as I said, the air consists of a lot of pollutants, no? Even though you're not smoking, but somebody in your house is smoking, then you will be a second-hand smoker. Okay, and as we said that it's better to smoke than inhaling, no? Kunyari, there are two or three individuals, okay, when you are, let's say, inside in a bar, no? Uh, you're always go to the bar, and, smoking is not prohibited. Okay, so if how many people will be smoking inside, okay, of the bar, then you can inhale most of the smoke coming from the tobacco. Okay, so you will be a second-hand smoker. Okay, so this will be the usual lungs that we see. It's very seldom now, okay? In my entire anatomy, okay, classes, even when I was still studying, I have not seen a normal lung, specifically the cadaveric lungs. But inside operating room, no, specifically those lungs from children, okay, the lungs of the children, okay, then I could see this pinkish and soft and elastic lungs, okay, of the children. Okay, so let's differentiate now, no? How are you going to differentiate the right lungs from the left lung? Okay, so if you're going to look at this one, the right lung has three lobes, and take note that the right lung has having three lobes is divided by your horizontal fissure. Okay, the horizontal fissure being the minor fissure, and then you have your oblique fissure, which is said to be the major fissure. Okay, so if you're going to look at it class, no, the horizontal fissure is the one that is dividing, no, separating the superior lobe of the lungs to the middle or the middle lobe of the lungs. Okay, while your horizontal, I mean your oblique fissure, which is the major fissure, divides the lungs, okay, between the superior, the other half of your superior lobe and your middle lobe, okay, to the inferior lobe. Okay, so it is very important to take note, class, that your lungs are divided, okay, by two fissures. So these are your oblique, okay, the oblique, which is the, as I said, the major fissure, and then you have the horizontal fissure, which is said to be the minor fissure, dividing the lungs into three lobes, okay, in the right lung, the superior lobe, the middle lobe, and the inferior lobe. Now, if you're going to look class at the right lung, it is said that the right lung is larger and heavier in comparison to the left. Okay? And if you're going to look and compare the right lung from the left lung is said to be shorter and wider. Okay? And because why is it that the right lung is wider and shorter? Okay? Because of the dome of the diaphragm, okay, which is higher, okay, and the heart bulges more to the left. Okay? So, if we're going to look at this, the anterior border, okay, of the lung is said to be straight. Okay? So, this is how we're going to look at the right lungs. Okay, now, how about the left lung? Okay, so if you're going to look at the left lung class, the left lung has two lobes and it is divided by the oblique fissure. Okay, so you have only the oblique fissure and the major fissure dividing the lobes of the lung into the superior and the inferior lobe of the lungs. And then if you're going to look at that lungs class, you will see an indented, no? An indented anterior border, okay? And that indented anterior border, the one with arrow, okay? This indented anterior border of your lungs is because of the presence of the cardiac notch. Okay? And then if you're going to look at the lower portion of the superior lobe, no? Take a look. This is the superior lobe. So the tongue-like process that you are going to see at the tail or the lowest portion or the most inferior portion of the superior lobe of the lung is the lingula. Okay? So it is a tongue-like process. So do not be mistaken. If somebody will ask you, which lobe of the lung can you see the lingula? Of course, it is found at the superior lobe of the lung. So this is your oblique fissure, which is the major fissure dividing your left lung into the inferior left lung. So as I said, no, you will see an indented structure, okay? And as I said, the indentation is secondary to the presence of your cardiac notch, okay? So you will see this at the anterior inferior aspect of the superior lobe. And take note that this is due to the deviation of the apex of the heart to the left side, okay? So this indentation will create also the tongue-like process, which is your lingula. Okay, and then take note that the lingula is extending below the cardiac nuts and side and slides in and out of the cardio or the costomediastinal recess. Okay, during inspiration and expiration. Okay, so when we go to the lab next week, then always you get the right lung and get the left lung and then compare the appearance of the surfaces of the lung. Okay, so you have here a cadaveric picture, okay, that will show you the cardiac mass. Can you see? So the one I am tracing now, the one with arrow. So this is your cardiac mass and this is your heart, no? So you will see the cardiac nut extending, coming from the right lobe of the lung, extending to the inferior and anterior inferior portion of your superior lobe of the lung that will give you a tongue-like processes, and that is your lingula. Okay? So this is the left lung occupying the right thoracic cavity, and then this is your right lung occupying the right thoracic cavity. Okay? So please take note. So take note that the heart is occupying at the center, no? Occupying the middle mediastinum. So mediastinum will be lectured later by Dr. Hakub. Okay? So this is your cardiac notch and your lingula. Okay, so take note of the horizontal fissure, okay? So the horizontal fissure, if you're going to look at it, which is the minor fissure, will be running horizontally at the level of the fourth costal cartilage. So that is very important class. So the anatomic level of your horizontal fissure, okay? So it is at the level of the fourth costal cartilage, and then it meets with your oblique fissure at the mid-axillary line. Okay, so if you're going to look at the surface of your lungs, you can see this depression. Now, in the identification of the lungs class, it is very important for you to take note of the different depressions. Okay, so these depressions has a specific, okay, a specific structure lying on the surfaces of the lungs, causing the uh, border and walls of the lung to depress. So that's why there are depressions of the lungs. So in this depression here, okay, so you could see, no, that this depression is created because of the first rib. Okay, so this is a depression of the first rib. So again, this is your horizontal fissure, okay, which is seen at the level of the fourth costal cartilage. And then it meets with your oblique fissure at the mid, okay, at the mid axillary line. Now, class, when you are studying the lungs, okay, whether the right and the left, if you find out, no, since you know already, no, after this lecture, you know already the normal anatomy of the lungs, no? If you will see some if you will see some deviations, okay, some deviation, or you find that the lungs are not normal, okay, like what happened in the other school, no? So when we were dissecting and trying to disarticulate the lungs, okay, from the thoracic cavity, so we found out that the left lung is the one that contains three lobes, no? It contains three lobes. It has three lobes, and then the right lung has two lobes. So if you see cases like this is reportable class, no? You need to report it, document it, and then do some research, and we could publish that deviations, no, from the normal. Okay, so if you're going to look at the cadaveric lung, so you have here your superior lobe, and then this is your middle lobe, and then this is your inferior lobe. So this is your horizontal fissure, and then this is your oblique fissure. Okay, so please take note, no, of the differences. So if you're going to look at this lungs, this is the cadaveric, and then if you're going to look at the color of it is almost black in color. Okay, now the other picture will tell you about the oblique fissure. So you have the oblique fissure here, and then of course the superior lobe will lie above, okay, and in front of your oblique fissure, while the inferior lobe will be lying below and behind your oblique fissure. Okay, so again, take note of the depression created by the first rib. Now, class, in the practical exam, I will just tell you this immediately. If my question is about to identify the depression, you will see that the what do you call this? The pin is pinned, okay, is pinned obliquely. Parang nakadapa yung pagpin. Okay, so pagka nakita ninyo na nakaparallel yung pin doon sa lung, it means that I am asking about the depression. Okay? And then kapag naka-perpendicular yung tusok, it means you identify. Okay? So kaya nga sinasabi ko na agad ito so that you know already. Okay? Because sometimes to shorten the preparation for the practical exam, okay, we do not write much anymore, no? Buti nga tayo nagpi-face-to-face pa ng practical because in other school, puro slide projections na ang ginagawa nila. So sabi ko, hindi ako papayag ng slide projections lang kasi anong matututunan ninyo doon, no? It is better to do some moving practical exam, okay? Looking at the um, cadavers, no? To identify. Now, in histology, po, pwede namang talagang slide projection lang. And actually, sa ibang school talaga, wala na rin gumagamit ng microscope. Okay, here in Manila, mostly are slide projections or when they do their microscopic study, okay, magde-demonstrate lang yung faculty sa TV or like in the eskwela, Okay? And then nakaupo lang yung mga estudyante. But remember that in pathology, hindi sila ganun sa pathology. Okay? Pagka-pathology kasi at saka microbiology, okay, kailangan talagang nag face to face using the microscope. So bakit natin i-pure strand projection kung pwede namang makita sa microscope, especially specifically this time that we have a new set, okay, a new set of slides, okay, that was purchased by the department or by the school, no? Yung pagkamahal-mahal na slides. Okay, so let's proceed. Okay, so take note of the different structures, okay, when you are looking at the lungs, okay? So take note of this clinical note. Try to identify your azygos lobe, okay? So when you speak of the accessory lobe, okay, is the azygos lobe, okay? And you know this azygos lobe was first described by Risberg in 1717. Okay, so where can you find this zygote lobe? Remember that a zygote lobe is not usually present. Okay, it is only present around 1% of individuals. Okay, so if you happen to see that in the um, right lung, okay, of the cadavers that you are going to see in the lab, okay, and it happens that you find, oh, doctor, this is a pulmonary lobe of the azygos vein, or this is the azygos lobe, okay, then we are going to document and we are going to report it and we will publish it. Okay, so if you're going to look at that, no? So if you're going to look at the main orientation of your azygos vein, okay, why your azygos lobe is produced, no? The azygos vein arches, no? It arches over the apex, okay? It arches over the apex, okay, and not over the hilum of the lungs. Okay, the hilum of the lungs class is that area, okay, where you find the bronchus, pulmonary artery, and the pulmonary veins coming in and coming out of the lungs. So that is very close to the heart. Okay, so this azygos lobe or the prime pulmonary lobe of the azygos vein or the azygos lobe is produced because of the arching, okay, the arching orientation of the azygos vein over the apex of the lungs. Okay, so they arch at the apex of the lungs, okay, and not over the hilum of the lungs. Okay, so since it is the pulmonary lobe of the azygos vein, okay, so anatomically speaking, this is what we said, the azygos lobe of the lungs. Okay, so remember that the azygos lobe of the lungs is common to the right lung. Only 1%, no? Only 1% is seen with azygos lobe. And again, this is the most common accessory lobe of the lungs. Okay? So this is the most common accessory lobe of the lung. Okay, bilisan na natin kasi 1:46 na. Okay, so each lung has apex, it has three surfaces, and it has three borders. Okay? So that is how we're going to look at the lung. Okay, so let's discuss the apex. The apex of the lung is said to be blunt, okay, blunt, consisting of a blunt superior end, okay? So if you're going to look at it, class, know that apex of the lung is very common, okay? The most common site where injury could be incurred, no? So that's why kung marunong yung somebody, no, to kill an individual, no, tutusukin niya yung kaaway niya dito sa side ng neck of the lungs. Okay, that is immediately, okay, on the inner portion of your clavicle. Okay? So yung site na yon, okay, is the usual site of the apex of the lung. So pag natusok yun, okay, so the lungs will collapse. Okay, so the apex ascends above the level of the first rib into the root of the neck. Okay, and remember that the apex of the lung is covered with cervical pleura. Okay, so the only thing that cover the apex of the lung is the cervical pleura, and of course the skin, no, the skin separating the thoracic cavity, okay, from the root of the neck. Okay, so again, your apex is said to be ascending above the first level or the level of the first rib into the root of the neck. Okay, so again, clinically speaking, your apex of the lung is the common site of pulmonary tuberculosis, no? So, secondary tuberculosis class is generally found at the apices of the lungs. So, this is where tuberculosis is very common. Okay, kaya nga meron tayong if a certain individual, no, in the radiographic film, no, is seen to have some hazy structure, okay, seen in the radiographic film. So that is already a suspected case of a patient having tuberculosis, okay? And why is it that the tuberculosis is very common in the apex of the lungs? Because the oxygen tension, okay, in this area of the lungs, that is the apex, has a high, okay, has a high tension for oxygen. Okay, and remember, class, that the Mycobacterium tuberculosis or the MTB, okay, is grows in high oxygen. So gustong-gusto ng Mycobacterium tuberculosis yung maraming oxygen. Okay? And then tuberculosis cavity is formed in the lungs due to the drainage of the caseous material through the bronchial tree. So the caseous or the cheesy, para yung caseous class, para siyang cheese pag titingnan mo, no? So that caseous or cheesy material found at the apex of the lung, which is said to be pathognomonic of tuberculosis. Pagka nakakita kayo ng parang may cheese, yung apex ng lungs, okay, then it is pathognomonic of tuberculosis. Okay? So, yun, ang ibig sabihin pathognomonic class, dun mo lang siya makikita. That is common in pathology. Pagka sinabing pathognomonic. Okay, then apex and then of course, okay, um because of the presence of tuberculosis or the Mycobacterium TB or tuberculosis, the tuberculosis could cause extensive necrosis and cavitation. Okay, so nagkakamero ng butas ang lungs secondary to TB. Okay, kaya nga anong nangyayari, pag nabutas yung lungs, no, there will be some form of your pneumothorax. Okay, so that is the pneumothorax. So what will happen if there will be pneumothorax? The lungs will collapse. Okay, so the tuberculosis is not only common at the apex of the lungs, but you could also be found at the superior lobe of the lungs. Okay? So, as I said, the caseous necrosis, okay, or the cavities are mostly located, no, in the apex, and as I said, around that cavitation produced by tuberculosis, okay, then you will see this cavitation lined with yellowish gray colored caseous, okay, or cheesy material. Ayan, ganyan siya class, oh. So can you see the cavitations? So this lang that is projected here in your slide. Okay, so these are your cheesy material. Okay, so yan, meron siyang cavitations, butas-butas. Okay, so this is how we're going to look at the picture of a lungs with pulmonary tuberculosis. Okay, so the apex of the lungs is blunt and consists of a blunt superior end, and again, it is ascending. It ascends above the level of the first rib of the neck. Okay? So I think medyo naulit itong slide na ito. Okay, so what are the surfaces of the lungs? We said there are three surfaces of the lungs. So these three surfaces of the lungs are the costal surface, okay? Then you have the mediastinal surface and you have your diaphragmatic surface. Okay, so yan yung may arrow. Can you see that? So that is the costal surface. Okay. So the costal surface is said to be large, smooth, and convex, and it is related to the costal pleura. Okay. So this is related to the costal pleura. So the posterior part is referred to as vertebral part of the costal surface. And take note that the posterior part is related, okay, is related to the thoracic vertebral body, okay, and sometimes referred to as the vertebral part of the costal surface, okay. So that is your costal surface of the lung. So your costal surface is sometimes referred as the vertebral part of the costal surface. Okay, so yung may arrow is the mediastinal surface. Okay, so the mediastinal surface is said to be concave. No, bakit concave? Because of the presence of the heart. Okay, so that mediastinal surface of the lungs is said to be concave because of the presence of the heart. So the mediastinal surface includes the hilum. Yan ang hilum class, no? So you will see the bronchus, pulmonary arteries, and pulmonary veins. Okay, in the mediastinal surface of the lungs, where you have the hilum. Okay, and of course there are impressions present in the mediastinal surface. Okay, so later on we are going to identify the different impressions or depressions caused by the caused by the different organs close to the heart, to the lungs. Okay, now the diaphragmatic surface. Siguro naman in the name implies, you know, why is it called diaphragmatic surface, no? So the diaphragmatic surface is also concave, okay, and the diaphragmatic surface forms the base of the lungs, okay. So the diaphragmatic surface of the lungs, okay, is resting on the dome of the diaphragm. Okay? So yan yung ating diaphragmatic surface. So it is resting on the dome of the diaphragm. And of course, the concavity of the diaphragmatic surface of the lung is said to be deeper on the right side. Okay? It is deeper on the right side, and even the right diaphragmatic surface is said to be higher because of the presence of the liver. Okay? So because of the presence of the liver. Okay? So bilisan na natin. We have already 1 hour left. Okay, so what are the borders of the lungs? The borders of the lungs, of course, yung may arrow is the anterior border, no? So the anterior border is where the costal and the mediastinal surfaces meet anteriorly, okay? Meet anteriorly and overlap the heart. Okay, so the anterior border, okay, is where the costal and mediastinal surfaces meet anteriorly and overlap the heart. um, okay, the posterior border, okay, so take note of your posterior border. So the posterior border is where the costal and mediastinal surfaces meet posteriorly. Okay? So that posterior border is where the costal and mediastinal surface meet posteriorly. Okay? So the posterior border lie in the concavity, okay, at the side of the thoracic region of the vertebral column. Okay? So that is the posterior border of the lungs. Okay, now the inferior border. Okay, the inferior border of the lungs circumscribes, okay, the diaphragmatic surface of the lungs. Okay, so the inferior border of the lungs circumscribe the diaphragmatic surface of the lungs. Okay, so what are your lung impressions, no? So I told you that the lungs has a lot of impressions, okay? So what are the different structures that will be causing impressions, okay? Impressions to the lungs. Now, if you're going to look at the impressions class of the lungs, they are actually artifacts of embalming, okay, and illustrate the close proximity of the mediastinal surfaces of the lung, up to the lungs, okay? So they are actually not visible during surgery or in fresh cadaveric or post-mortem specimen. So yung mga impressions class, no? Usually you don't see them in a lung, okay, or in a live lungs, okay? So during surgery, you cannot identify them, okay? But the moment the lung is already soaked, okay, to the soaking solution, then what will happen? These surfaces, or I mean these impressions caused by the different structures, okay, that is very close to the heart, I mean to the lungs, then the impressions now will be visible. Okay? Yun sa embalming processes. Okay, so it will tell you the relationship of the lungs and with other mediastinal structures. So yung lahat ng nandoon sa impressions class are all the structures that are found in the mediastinal surface, okay, of the lungs. So what are these different structures, okay, that is very close to the mediastinal surface of the lungs? Yung una, trachea. So this is the right side and this one is the left side. Okay, so ano yung mga impressions na makikita mo dun sa right side? Nandiyan yung impressions of the right subclavian artery, yan ang subclavian. And then of course, you have the impression of the right brachiocephalic vein. And then you have the impression of the superior vena cava and then inferior vena cava. Okay, on the left side, you have an impression, okay, yung left subclavian artery. Okay, impression caused by the left brachiocephalic, the arch of the aorta, the descending aorta, and the heart. Okay, so please take note of the different structures, okay, or the different organs that you will see causing visibility of these impressions after the lungs was embalmed or after the individual was embalmed. As I said, these impressions are not seen normally. So that's why during open thoracic surgery, okay, you are trying to operate on the lungs, you cannot identify these impressions. Okay, so let's proceed to the lung impression. So, the esophageal area, okay? So, the esophageal area class, okay, is that lung impression that is caused by the esophagus. Itong esophagus, yung ating may a red arrow. Okay, so you could see the esophageal area below the apex and above the groove for the azygos vein. Okay, so ito yung azygos vein, ito yung esophagus. Okay? So kapag tinignan mo ngayon doon sa lungs natin sa lab, ayan, yung may arrow na yan is your esophageal impression. So kapag nagpa-practical kayo class at nakakita kayo ng P na nakadapa, almost perpendicular, no, perpendicular ba? Almost horizontal. Okay, almost horizontal to your organ, then I am asking you to identify your impression. So this is the impression for the esophageal area. Okay? Now next. Okay, group for the esophagus. Okay? So iba yung esophageal area class sa group for the esophagus. Okay? So this area here is the group for the esophagus itself. Okay, so the groove for the esophagus is found behind the groove for your azygos vein. Okay, so yan yung azygos vein, ito yung ating esophagus. So this is the groove for in the esophagus. So class, tingnan ninyo, no? Please try already to identify the different structures found at the hilum, no? Ito yung hilum ng lungs. Okay, anyway, i-identify natin lahat yan. Ando pa lang muna tayo sa mga impression. Okay, so the tracheal area. So this area here is your tracheal area, class. Okay, so the area of the tracheal area is just below the apex. Okay, it is below the apex and above the groove for the azygos vein. Okay, so you're looking at the medial view of the right lung. Okay, you are looking at the medial view of the right lung. Okay, next. So this is the groove for the subclavian artery. The groove for the subclavian artery class is below the apex, no? Yan ang apex. So this is the groove for your subclavian artery. Okay, normally kapag nandyan yung subclavian artery, ito siya. Okay, so it will leave an impression. So this will be your impression. So that is the groove for the subclavian artery. So it is just below the apex of the lungs. Okay, on the right side, we are looking at the right lung, and above the area of the trachea and area of the esophagus. Okay, so that is your groove for the subclavian artery. Okay, now the groove for the brachiocephalic vein. Okay, so this is your right brachiocephalic vein. Okay, so the groove for the right brachiocephalic vein descends to the groove of the superior vena cava. Okay, so this is the medial right side of the lung, medial view of the right lung. So this is the groove for the right brachiocephalic vein. Okay, so the groove for the azygos, arch of the azygos vein. So the arch or the groove for the arch of the azygos vein is above the hilum, okay, above the hilum, and runs into the groove of the superior vena cava or vena cava. Okay, so that is the groove, this one. Okay, so that is your azygos vein class, no? Dumadaan sa likod ng esophagus, ayan ang azygos. Okay, it's arising coming from the superior vena cava. Okay, so try to identify them. So that is your azygos vein, okay? Dadaan sa likod ng esophagus, okay, going to the lateral side of the esophagus. So this is the groove for the arch of the azygos vein. Okay, cardiac impressions, yan yung pinakamadaling i-identify, no? But usually, binibigay ko lagi yan sa practical exam. Okay, so what part of the heart could cause cardiac impression of the right lung? Okay, yun ang tanong. Okay, so the part of the lungs that will cause, okay, cardiac impressions, okay, on the right lung is the right atrium. Okay, so yung right atrium ang nagkukos ng cardiac impression. Okay, so please take note of that of that one class, no? Okay, still in the right lung. Okay, the group for the inferior vena cava. So you're still looking at the medial view of the right lung. So this is your this is your inferior vena cava, no? So this is the impression for the um, group for the inferior vena cava. So this is inferior to the hilum, no? Inferior to the hilum, yan ang hilum, no? So this is the impression and it is just behind your cardiac impression. Ito yung cardiac impression. So the group for the inferior vena cava is just behind, okay, behind the hilum of the right lung. Okay, group for the first rib. So yan yung ating group for the first rib class yun. So kita siya sa external portion, okay, of the lungs and could also be seen at the mediastinal portion of the lungs. So this is your group for the first rib. So the group for the first rib, okay, is superior, no? It is superior to the group of the thymus, okay, and the mediastinal fatty tissues. Okay, so that is your group for the first rib. Okay, area for the thymus and the mediastinal fatty tissues. Okay, so the area, okay, is in front of the groove for the superior vena cava or vena cava. Okay, so please take note of this impression. Okay, area for the thymus and mediastinal fatty tissues of the right lung. Okay, so already on the left. Okay, so please take note of the different impressions, okay, that you have in the right lung. So let's now proceed to the impressions on the left lung. So area for the trachea, yan ang ating trachea class, no? So if you're going to look at the um, trachea, okay, so this area here is the impression, okay, for the trachea and the esophagus. Remember that the trachea, if you're going to look anatomically speaking, no, the trachea is in front of your esophagus. Okay, so ito yung trachea class. And then behind your trachea is the esophagus. Kaya ang tawag doon sa impressions na yon ay hindi lang impressions of the esophagus. It is a depression caused or impression caused by the esophagus and trachea. Okay? So it is below the apex and above the arch of the aorta. Okay, so still on the left lung, we have the groove for the subclavian artery. So the groove for the subclavian artery, yan yung ating left subclavian artery class, no? Yan yung ating left subclavian artery. It is one of the three branches of the arch of the aorta. Okay, so you will see that later sa lecture ni Dr. Madge, no? So there are three major great vessels of the heart, okay, originating from the arch of the aorta. And one of them is your left subclavian artery. Okay, so the depression of the left subclavian or the left subclavian artery is anterior to the area of the trachea and esophagus. Okay, so okay, group for the left brachiocephalic vein. So ito yung ating brachiocephalic vein class, no? So the groove for the left brachiocephalic vein, okay, is anterior to the groove for the subclavian artery. Okay, so ito yung ating subclavian artery impression. Ayun, no? So you could see the groove for the brachiocephalic vein anterior, okay? Anterior to the groove of your subclavian artery. Anterior, okay? So that is your groove for the left brachiocephalic vein. Okay, groove for the first rib. So, definitely, you have your first rib kasi dalawa ang ribs natin, left and right. Okay, so the groove for the first rib is in front of the groove for the brachiocephalic vein. Okay, so please take note of that. And then the area for the thymus in mediastinal tissues, fatty tissues. Okay. Okay, groove for the arch of the aorta. So yan yung arch of the aorta class, no? So this is the arch of the aorta. So it will be passing, okay, backward above the hilum and continues with the groove of the descending aorta. Okay, so groove for the descending, ayan ang descending aorta class, no? Ito. So remember, class, that in the discussion of the great vessels of the heart, no, your ascending aorta, okay, will be extending in curve, okay, and becomes your arch of the aorta or the aortic arch. And then after it becomes the arch of the aorta, your arch of the aorta, okay, will extend, okay, go down and becomes the aorta of the thoracic region, okay, or it becomes the thoracic aorta. So that is already your descending, no? So the thoracic aorta is the descending aorta, which is the continuation of your arch of the aorta. Okay, yun naman paakyat is the ascending, no? So yung ascending, okay, aorta, okay, will be arching, and becomes the arch of the aorta and then go down and becomes the descending aorta. So that is the group for the descending aorta. Okay, so group for the esophagus. So alam niyo naman natin ang esophagus, no? Yan. So yung group for the esophagus is just very close to your pulmonary ligament. Plus the extension of the hilum class is surrounded, no? Is surrounding the different structures in the hilum. And then this hilum will meet downward or below and becomes your pulmonary ligament. Yung number 4 is your pulmonary ligament. Okay? So that is it is posterior, no? That group for the esophagus is posterior to the hilum and the left cardiac impression. Ito cardiac impression kasi is yung number 3. Okay? So that is your group for the esophagus. And then your cardiac impression. Okay? The cardiac impression. So the ventricles produce a deep cardiac impression below and in front of the hilus. Okay, so these are the different impressions of the right and the left lung. You try to take a look at this one class, no? Kasi siguro sa practical, mga 3 hanggang 4 ang ibibigay ko from the cardiac lung impression. Okay, so let's now discuss the hilum. Okay, so if you're going to look at the hilum class, yan ang hilum natin. So the hilum is wedge shape. Okay, and it is actually triangular. Okay, like a size of a leaf, no, or a leaf shape, dahon. Okay, and as I said, this is the highway or the doorway where the structures enter and leave the lung. Okay? So this is the doorway or the highway where the bronchi, the pulmonary vessels like pulmonary artery and pulmonary vein enters and leave the lungs. Okay? So we are going to identify every or the different structures that are found inside the hilum. Okay, so if you're going to look at the picture, yung kabilang picture class, no, is the part of the right lung hilum and then saan siya magkukonek. Kaya yun ay may arrow class. Can you see? Okay. So, in the right lung, take note of your bronchus. Ayan ang bronchus natin. So, paano mo siya malalaman na bronchus class? Kapainin nyo, you touch your bronchus and you will see that the bronchus is made up of cartilage. Matigas siya. Okay, so matigas. Okay, so that means that that is your bronchus. And then remember that the bronchus is approximately in the middle, okay, in the middle of the posterior boundary with the bronchial vessels surrounding it and usually posterior to it. So ito yung pulmonary bronchus dito sa kabilang here. Okay, so ito yung lungs and this is the part of the heart. Okay? So, itong nasa heart na ito, class, this is your pulmonary bronchus will be attaching to this bronchus that you find in the hilum of the heart. Okay? And then, you have your superior and inferior pulmonary veins. Okay? So meron tayong superior, okay, and inferior pulmonary veins. Okay? So the pulmonary veins are anterior and the inferior most. Okay? So yun yung pulmonary vein, and then this part of the pulmonary vein will be connected here in this side of the heart. And then itong dalawang pulmonary vein na ito, please take a look at my cursor. This will be attached to this portion of your lungs. Can you see that, class? No? Kaya dapat alam ninyo yan, no? Dapat makikita ninyo yan sa pag tinignan ninyo yung heart. So pag tinignan nyo si heart, no, pagdating sa lab, kunin niyo si heart and then kunin niyo si lungs. Okay? Pag i-compare ninyo yung right lung. So ito yung part ng heart natin, okay? And then tingnan ninyo how the connection, okay, between the heart and the lungs, okay? Specifically, if you are looking at the right lung. Okay, so nasa ngayon ng pulmonary artery. The pulmonary artery is actually at the middle. Okay, this is found in between the bronchus and then between your pulmonary vein. Always remember, class, that there are three pulmonary vein. There are three pulmonary vein on the right side. Okay, and then in the artery, ito yung ating pulmonary artery, yung kulay brown. Okay, so this pulmonary artery this is the side of the right side of the lungs, hilum. Okay? So dapat hindi kayo malilito, class, no? Because the location and position of your bronchus and arteries will be different between the right and the lung. Okay? So ganyan ang itsura ng right lung hilum. And as I said, the hilum, okay, the hilum that is surrounding the hilum of the lung should be extended, okay, with your pulmonary ligament below. Okay? So, tingnan agad, okay? So, take a look at your phrenic nerve. Ayan ang phrenic nerve, class O. No, if you could identify the phrenic nerve, and then ito naman yung vagus. Baka sakaling nandun pa sa cadaver yung vagus, yung right vagus at saka yung phrenic nerve. Yung phrenic nerve, class, is found on top of your pericardium. Kaya pagdating nyo sa lab, paano nyo malalamang phrenic nerve? You will see the phrenic nerve innervating the diaphragm. Okay, so pag nakita ninyo na yung nerve na yun pumupunta sa diaphragm, definite na yun, that is your phrenic nerve. Okay, so you have your right phrenic nerve and then you have your right vagus nerve on this side. Okay? So, yan yung siya pagdating sa lab, okay, next week, okay, wag uupo-upo lang. So, get the heart and get the right lung, okay? Para makita ninyo how the structures, okay, inside the right hilum of the lung is being attached, okay, to this side of the heart. Okay? So that is your right lung hilum. Okay, left lung. Okay, so yung left lung, okay, so the pulmonary artery on the left is the superior most, okay? So ito yung sinasabi kong difference, class, no? Pagdating sa left lung, ang pinakamataas is your pulmonary artery. Okay? So, ganito yung position ng lungs, ng heart na titingnan ninyo, class, pagdating ninyo sa lab. Okay, take a look. So, this pulmonary artery, ayun, doon siya nakakabit. Okay, so this is the pulmonary artery, which is the most superior, okay, the most superior structure in the left hilum of the left lung. Okay, so doon siya nagkukunik. And then you have your superior and inferior pulmonary veins. Ayan. So dalawa ang pulmonary veins sa ating left lung. So this is the superior and then this is the inferior, okay? The inferior part of your pulmonary vein. So this pulmonary vein will be attached there. Ayun, no? And then this one will be attached there. Okay? So that is your pulmonary vein. Okay, nasaan si bronchus? The bronchus lies posterior to the pulmonary vessel. So, ang nasa gitna ngayon class is the pulmonary bronchus. Okay, sa left lang, ha? So, I told you, you need to take note of this. So, yung pulmonary artery, usually isa lang yan, no? Isa lang kapag left lang. Ang dalawa ay pulmonary vein. Okay? And then, ganito yung position ng heart kapag i-attach ninyo yung inyong left lung. So, this is your phrenic nerve. Hanapin agad si phrenic nerve class. Okay? And then this is your, and then this is your vagus. I-explore ninyo class, no? Explore ninyo so that you could identify them. Okay? So again, this is your pulmonary ligament. Okay? Next, anong oras na? Okay, so matatapos natin. Okay, still in the hilum. So, take note of the plural sleeve. Ano ba yung plural sleeve na yan? The plural sleeve or the mesopneumonium, no? It is also called the mesopneumonium, okay? That is the area of continuity between the visceral and the parietal layers, okay, of the pleura. Okay? So, yan yung plural sleeve. Yan yung continuation ng ating parietal and visceral pleura. Okay? So yung surrounding, the structure that is surrounding the hilum, no? The structure that is surrounding the hilum is called pleural sleeve. So kapag nagpin ako dito sa practical na ito, sa practical exam natin class, no? Dito nakapin, do not just identify it hilum. You are going to answer me plural sleeve. Okay? And then, yung plural sleeve na yan, okay, will descend. Okay? So, pag nag-descend na si plural sleeve, anong magiging? It will become pulmonary ligament. Okay? So, take a look at how, or what are the differences, no? When you are looking between the right lung and the left lung. Okay? So, dito sa right lang, ito yung inyong plural sleeve. Yan. Left lang, right lang. Pulmonary ligament. Okay? So, take note of your other structures found in the hilum other than the bronchus and the pulmonary vessels. So, the pulmonary ligament class is also the continuation of your pleural sleeve, okay? And it will be descending into the inferior root, okay? Inferior root. Okay, so any question about the lungs? Yun lang naman yung about the lungs class, no? So, tandaan nyo lang na the right lung has 3 lobes and the left lung has 2 lobes. Yun lang. Okay? So, any question about the lungs before we proceed to the trachea and tracheobronchial tree? Hmm? Okay, class, video bibilisan kong konti para matapos natin, ha? Okay, so if you're going to look at this class, no? So you have your trachea here. So remember that the trachea, okay, is mobile cartilaginous, okay? It is both cartilaginous and membranous tube, okay? So if you're going to look at it, no, yan yung ating Adam's apple or the thyroid cartilage. And then after the thyroid cartilage, you have your cricoid, okay? And then below the cricoid cartilage, you have already your tracheal rings, okay? Or the tracheal cartilages. Remember, class, that the Adam's apple or the thyroid cartilage and the cricoid cartilage are also part of your trachea. Okay? And then as siya mag-extend, it will extend until it bifurcates, no? At bifurcates at the carina and becomes the right and the left major or the primary bronchi. Okay, so the trachea begins in the neck. Okay, it's a continuation of the larynx. Ha? Tandaan, it is the continuation of the larynx. Okay, at the lower border of your cricoid cartilage, at the level of the sixth cervical vertebra. Okay? So tandaan sa nag-uumpisa ang trachea at the level of the sixth cervical vertebra just below your cricoid cartilage. Okay? So in adult, the trachea is around 4 inches and a half or 4.5 inches long. Okay, around 1 inch in diameter. Okay, and then it is consisting of around 16 to 20 cartilaginous rings. Okay, so it is consisting of around 16 to 20 cartilaginous ring. And remember that if you are going to look at your tracheal ring individually, they are U-shaped. Okay, they are U-shaped, and the type of cartilage found in the trachea are the hyaline cartilage. Okay, so that's why if you are looking at the um, your trachea, okay, the trachea is always the good example for you to identify, no, your respiratory epithelium. What is the respiratory epithelium of the trachea, class? Huh? What is the complete name of your epithelial lining of the trachea? Huh? James, James Lagman. Hmm?
Try lang po,
It
Doc.
is
Pseudostratified.
complete. Laging ibinibigay yan ni, no? Kasama din yan sa practical ninyo last time.
Ah,
Ha?
sagot ko po, Doc.
Faye Garcia. Hindi alam ni James eh. Tatawa-tawa lang si James. Ha? Faye. Faye. Anong complete epithelial lining of your trachea? Wala talaga ang mukha ko sa picture. Ano, nasan ako? Ba't nawawala ako? Ha? Faye.
Nakalimutan ko na po, Dok.
Ba yan? Katatapos lang ng practical sa bone and cartilage. Princess. Hmm?
Pseudostratified ciliated columnar epithelium po.
Hmm? May kulang.
Ciliated pseudostratified columnar epithelium po.
Kulang nga. Anong kulang?
With
Oh,
goblet
Greg.
cell po. With
President.
goblet cell.
Should the stratified columnar epithelium ciliated with goblet cells. Okay? Magkalimutan. Laging lumalabas yan sa practical. Okay? So that is how we're going to discuss your trachea. Okay, so if you're going to look at it at individual trachea class, no? So pagdating nyo sa lab, pwede kayong pumutol ng trachea. Okay, so that you'll be able to see the trachea, okay, in between, no, in between two trachea, so that you will see its shape. It is U shape, and then at the two ends, okay, at the two ends of the posterior free ends of the trachea, you will see a muscle. Okay, so this trachealis muscle is the one that connects both free ends of the posterior U-shaped tracheal ring. Okay, so it is connected by your trachealis muscle. Okay, and then if you're going to look at this, no, pag binuksan ninyo yung trachea, kunyari yan, no, gusto mo makita yung loob. Okay, you will see the presence of rugae inside. Okay, and then take note that the trachearis muscle connects both two free ends of the posterior end of the U-shape. Okay, U-shaped tracheal end. And again, do not forget, it is made up of hyaline cartilage. And then where will it end? Where will your trachea bifurcate? So the trachea will bifurcate and ends at the carina. Okay? So it will bifurcate at the end of the carina. So yung once na mag-bifurcate class, ang tawag dito carina. And then it will bifurcate at the level of the external angle. Okay? So yun yung importante ng external angle. The external angle. What is the other clinical significance of the external angle? Ha? What is the other clinical significance of the external angle? Juliana Fay. What is the other clinical significance of the external angle? We said that the trachea bifurcate at the level of the external angle. Ano pa yung important characteristic feature which is very important for your external angle? Ha? Lisette Cruz?
Ano po, Dok? Nalolocate yung heart valves during auscultation.
Another answer, Regente? It is very important for what? Identification of your second rib. Okay? So the identification of the ribs. And remember that when you count ribs, you don't count at the first rib. Okay? Because you cannot feel, no? You cannot feel your first rib because it is covered with muscles. So where are you going to start counting your ribs? Okay? You feel your external angle and that is your second rib. Okay, so that is very important class. So we have already two very important identifying structure regarding the external angle. The first is identification or counting of ribs, okay, beginning with the second. And then the next one is the site or the level, okay, where the trachea bifurcates into main, right, and the main or the right main bronchi and the left main bronchi. Okay? So please take note of that one. So remember that the moment the trachea bifurcates at the carina, okay, it is, as I said, will bifurcate at the level of the external angle, no? And it will produce two primary or main bronchi, main primary bronchi, the left and the right. Okay, so this is how are you going to look at it, class, no? So this picture will show you the carina. Yan ang carina, class, no? Yung may arrow. Okay, so this is your carina, okay, giving you the two primary bronchi. Okay, so if you're going to look, para siyang ridge, no? It is a kill ridge observed between the orifices of the main bronchi. So ito yung dalawang bronchi. Okay, and then it is one of the most sensitive area of the tracheobronchial tree. Kaya nga class, kapag nasa mid ka at nakarating yung food, no? Nakarating yung food doon sa may carina, anong gagawin? You will cough, no? Because it is the most sensitive part of the tracheobronchial tree. So you are going to pop out the food, okay, that enter the trachea so that you'll be able to remove it and do not, so that it will not pass through and enters the lungs, okay? So this is how your carina is seen, okay, if you are going to look at the bronchoscope. Okay, yung bronchoscope class is an instrument with a camera at the tip. Okay, so you can see the ridge of the carina. Okay, and then you will see the right and the left. Okay, bronchi. Okay, so again, itong carina class, okay, is said to be the landmark. Okay, kapag if you're a bronchoscopist, no? So ito yung unang-unang tinitingnan ng bronchoscopist. So it served as the landmark for the bronchoscopy. And then the carina can be distorted by enlarged tracheobronchial lymph nodes. So paano ba di-distort yung carina, no? Let's say for example, may enlarged lymph node, okay, or animus, okay, that is obstructing and found at the carina, okay? And kunyari, meron kang, the patient has a malignancy, let's say bronchogenic carcinoma. So you might be able to see some lymph nodes, no, distorting the carina, okay, of the trachea. Okay, so how are you going to differentiate the right pulmonary or the right main bronchus to the left main bronchus? So the right main bronchus is said to be wider, shorter, and more vertical than the left. And then the Left main bronchus is narrower, okay, longer and horizontal. Okay, so in your opinion, class, let's say for example, specifically in children, no, remember that children are very conscious, no? They are very conscious of everything. So it's either they swallow or they put it in their nose, no? So let's say, for example, that you have a patient, no, difficulty of breathing, 5-year-old pediatric patient, okay? And you suspect the mother said, or the one who is taking care of the child said, he swallowed a coin, okay, or a coin, or a 25 centavo, or a 1 peso coin, no? So where do you think the coin will be lodged? On the right or on the left bronchus? Hmm? I will call Maria Sofia Burgos.
Sa right main bronchus po kasi po mas wider po siya.
Okay, so alam niyo na pagka may ganitong situation, no, you will see that the coin or the foreign body might be lodged more on the right side. Because unang-una, aside from being wide and short, okay, the orientation is more vertical. Okay? So, parang ang dali lang na pumasok yung foreign body. Okay? So, that is how are we going to look at it. Okay? So, yan yung ating right and left main bronchi. So, the right bronchi is around 1 inch long, okay, and then the hilum of the right lung is said to be the principal bronchus that gives off, no, the superior lobar bronchus. So remember, class, that the bronchus that is outside of the lungs are called the extrapulmonary bronchus. Okay, kasi nga kaya ang tawag ay extrapulmonary, they are not entering the lungs. Because remember that after your right main bronchus, okay, the principal bronchus will give off the lobar bronchus. Okay? So pagka sinabi nating lobar bronchus class, okay, the number of bronchus that will be entering the lobe of the lungs will be depending on how many lobes, okay, the lung contains. So how many bronchus will be entering the right and how many bronchus will be entering the left? Huh? Romilay? Romilay Mateo? How many bronchus sa right? How many bronchus sa left? Hmm? Huh? Okay, Juliana Pay, natawag na ba kita?
Um, one
Remember that there are 3 lobes of the right lung and two lobes of the left. So it means that there will be 3 lobar bronchus for the right and 2 lobar bronchus for the left. Okay, so we said na yung lobar bronchus is the next level after the primary brain bronchus. Okay, so the lobar bronchus is also called the secondary bronchus. Okay, so the secondary bronchus comes after the primary bronchus. So pagka sinabing lobar bronchus, yung lobar bronchus to yun will enter the specific lobe. So there will be 3 lobar bronchus on the right and 3 lobar bronchus on the left. Okay, so in the right lung, no, it will be entering the hilum and then it divides into the right, okay, the superior, middle, and the inferior lobe, lobar bronchus. Okay, while in the left main bronchus, okay, the left main bronchus is around 2 inches. And then when the primary bronchus enters the hilum, okay, it will divide and gives off superior and inferior lobar bronchus or superior and inferior secondary bronchus. Okay? So take a look at your right and left primary bronchi or main bronchus. Okay, so as we said, okay, so clinically, the aspiration of foreign body is very common to the right bronchus. So we already know the reason, okay? Because as we said, the right bronchus is wider, shorter, and more vertical. Okay? So, yeah, may foreign body siyang nakita dun, no? Okay? So that is the foreign body seen in the right main bronchus. Okay, so during bronchoscopy class, okay, bronchoscopy enables the physician to examine the inferior portion of the trachea. Okay, not only the trachea, but also the carina, the brain bronchi. And of course, because of bronchoscopy, remember because at the tip of the bronchoscopic instrument or the bronchoscopy, meron siyang tip, okay, and that tip is capable of getting a tissue, okay? So you could get a small tissue for diagnostic study if you are suspecting that the patient might be having some abnormalities or malignancy. So ganito class ang itsura ng ating bronchoscope. Ito, yan. So meron siyang eyepiece, okay? And then there is a line of this bronchoscope instrument that you are going to insert it, okay, in the nasal cavity, okay, going to the bronchus, okay? And then if the common removal of foreign body is not common, okay, or could not be done, then bronchoscopy could be done to remove, okay, inhaled foreign bodies. Okay? So yung lahat ng yan class pwedeng pasukan ng bronchoscope. Yan. Okay? So this is the entire trachea and carina. Okay? So this is how we're going to do your bronchoscopy. Okay, so this is the another clinical note showing the lungs on the bronchus having bronchogenic carcinoma. Okay, so remember that the most common cause of the cancer of the lungs or bronchogenic carcinoma is cigarette smoking. Okay, so kapag 10 to 20 years ka na nag-i-smoke, okay, you are very risky and viable to have bronchogenic carcinoma. Okay, so usually it occurs in the mucosa of the large bronchus and is spread hematogenously to the brain, bones, lungs, and adrenal glands. Okay, and then it will also involve, okay, the phrenic nerve and may result to the paralysis of your diaphragm, hemidiaphragm. Now, the apical lung cancer may involve recurrent laryngeal nerve, okay? And because of the involvement of the recurrent laryngeal nerve, then a patient with bronchogenic carcinoma could have hoarseness of voice, okay? And due to the paralysis of the vocal fold, okay? So usually the bronchogenic carcinoma originate from the mucosa of the large bronchi, no? So yung mucosa ng large bronchi, okay, is usually the um, source of the bronchogenic carcinoma. So what could be some common manifestation? Okay, the patient will be having cough and hemoptysis. When you say hemoptysis, the patient will spit blood. Okay, every time the patient cough, then blood is there. Anong tawag class kapag vomiting of blood? If coughing out of blood is called hemoptysis, how do you call vomiting of blood? Anong medical term? Hmm? Charles, Charles Magat. Anong tawag kapag dumudura ng dugo? Ha? Anong tawag kapag dumudura ng dugo? If coughing out is hemoptysis, anong ibig sabihin kapag vomiting or pagdura mo may blood, what do you call it? Medical term. Anybody? Lovely. Lovely, Andrea.
Hematemesis po, Doc.
Ha?
Hematemesis po.
It is hematemesis. You are correct. Okay. So remember how when you are having hemoptysis, no? So hemoptysis is very common to patient with cancer of the lungs. Okay. Yung may mga TB, no? Because of the injury cause. Okay. So, the spread, no, if it is malignancy of the bronchus or bronchogenic carcinoma, the usual metastasis, pagka sinabi nating metastasis class, spread of malignant cells. Okay, so how is spread? Okay, the spread of malignancy of the malignant cells will be from the brain to the lungs, the bones, and the adrenals. Pagka sinabi natin class na bronchogenic carcinoma, sa bronchus lang yon, hindi pa involved ang lungs. Okay? So kapag sinabi nating bronchogenic carcinoma, there are actually hindi pa nga lungs ang pinaka most common, no? Most common site of metastasis. The most common site of metastasis for bronchogenic carcinoma is the brain, followed by the lungs, and then the lungs, the bones, and then the adrenals. So marami siyang signs and symptoms, no? Hoarseness of voice due to the involvement of the recurrent laryngeal nerve and paralysis of the diaphragm, hemidiaphragm due to the involvement of the phrenic nerve. Okay? So yun yung mga manifestation ng bronchogenic carcinoma. Okay, so how are you going to do? Okay, lung resection. Okay, pagka sinabi naman natin class na how are you going to manage a patient with cancer? Okay? Or any malignancy of the lungs, no? Pagka sinabi natin pneumonectomy, okay? The whole lung could be removed. Okay? Kunyari, buong left lung, okay? Buong left lung could be removed. So that is what we call pneumonectomy. Kapag naman, lobe of the lung, okay, let's say the superior lobe of the right lung is to be removed, then you call it lobectomy. Okay, superior lobectomy of the left lung. Okay, and then if you are going to remove a segment, okay, a segment of the lung, okay, then you have your segmentectomy. So that's why you have your bronchopulmonary segment. Now remember class that the bronchopulmonary segment is the surgical unit of the lungs. Okay? Hindi gaya dati na kapag na-diagnose ang patient ng may cancer of the lungs, yung buong left lung or kung left lung ang may cancer, tatanggalin na lahat yun. Okay, this time, because of the identification of the different bronchopulmonary segments, okay, then you could just do segmentectomy only without removing the whole. Okay? So, dapat alam ninyo yung mga bronchopulmonary segments. Okay? So, again, the bronchopulmonary segment is the surgical unit of the lungs. Pagka sinabi ng functional unit of the lungs, anong functional unit of the lungs, class? Ha? Anong functional unit of the lungs? Kali, Daphne.
Alveolus po.
The alveolus. Very good. Okay, so from the primary bronchus, okay, trace ngayon natin. So from the primary bronchus, okay, the second segment is your lower bronchus. So the lower bronchus is also called secondary bronchus, okay? So the right and the left main bronchus will divide into lower bronchi. There will be three on the right, okay? Three lower bronchus on the right that will supply, okay? That will supply its three lobes of the right lung. And then there will be two lower bronchus on the left lung, supplying the two lobes of the left lung. Okay? So yan yung lower bronchus class. So ang ibig sabihin, pumapasok na yung lower bronchus. The lower bronchus already now enters the hilum, no? It already enters the hilum of the lungs. Okay? So the right and the left main bronchus will divide into lobar bronchi, three on the right and two on the left, and then each of which will supply a lobe of the lung. Okay, so do not forget that class. Oh my God, 8 minutes na lang. Okay? So each lower bronchus will divide into several segmental bronchi. So kapag nagpunta na class sa bronchopulmonary segment, no? So that bronchopulmonary segment is already called the segmental bronchus. Okay? So pumasok na yun sa individual bronchopulmonary segment. And the segmental bronchus is already called the tertiary bronchi. Okay? So the tertiary bronchi or your segmental bronchi will supply each of the bronchopulmonary segment. Okay? So please take note of that. So there are how many segments on the right and how many bronchopulmonary segments on the left? Okay, there are 10 segmental bronchi supplying the right lungs. Okay, there are 10 bronchopulmonary segment or segmental bronchi supplying the right lungs. And there are 8 to 10 segmental bronchus supplying the left lung. Okay, so hindi siya constant class, no? So pwede ring 10, pwedeng 9, okay, yung left lang. Okay? So the nomenclature to the tracheobronchial tree, okay, seem to be acceptable to the surgeon, radiologist, and anatomist. Okay? So please take note of your tandaan primary bronchus, from the primary bronchus, secondary to tertiary. Okay? So yung tertiary, papasok na and supply every segments of the bronchopulmonary segments. Kaya ang tawag sa kanya ay tertiary or segmental bronchi. Okay, so let's now take note of your right segmental bronchi. Okay, so ano-ano yung mga tertiary bronchi, okay, sa right side ng lungs. Ayan, meron tayong a palms, repeat 3 times. Okay, so yun yung ating acronym. So in the right segment, you have the apical, okay, apical. Okay, so this is the apical, and then you have the posterior, okay, bronchopulmonary segment, and then you have your anterior bronchopulmonary segment. So the superior lobe is supplied by the apical, posterior, and the anterior segmental bronchi. Take note of that one. Again, I repeat, on the right lungs, the superior lobe is supplied by apical, posterior, and the anterior. Okay, segmental bronchi. And then the middle lobe is supplied by the medial, okay, the medial, ayun, and the lateral segmental bronchi. Okay, middle lobe is supplied by the medial, okay, ito yung medial, and the lateral bronchi. Kaya yun na a palm. Can you see? A palm. Okay? Nasa a palm na tayo. And then the lower lobe, okay, is supplied by superior, anterior basal, posterior basal, medial basal, and the lateral basal segmental bronchi. So yung lower lobe ng right lang has more, no? Has more segmental bronchi. Kaya nga a palm, repeat 3 times. Okay? So please take note of your segmental bronchus or your bronchopulmonary segment on the right side. Okay? So please take note of that. Now, how about the left? Okay? Ano yung ano natin dyan? Asia Alps. Okay? Asia Alps. Ano yung Asia Alps? The superior lobe is, tandaan dalawa lang ang ano ng left lang. Okay, so the superior lobe is supplied by apico and apico posterior, Okay, anterior, superior lingular, inferior lingular segmental bronchi. Okay, and then the inferior lobe is supplied by the superior segmental bronchi, anteromedial basal, and the lateral basal and the posterior basal bronchi or segmental bronchi. Okay? So please take note of the different bronchopulmonary segments of the right and the left lung. Okay? So if you cannot understand it, please read your book. Okay. Okay. So we said that after your segmental bronchi, no, saan kayo pupunta, no? If you're going to look at the picture, okay, from your, we said that um, the conducting portion of the lungs will end at the terminal bronchiole. So beyond the segmental bronchus are 20 to 25 generation of branches. Okay? So 20 to 25 generation of the branches, okay, of your segmental bronchi, and the segmental bronchi will end in terminal bronchioles, okay? And then from the terminal bronchioles, okay, yun na yung terminal bronchioles, it will end to your respiratory bronchiole. So tandaan yung class, no? So I told you already that the conducting portion of the respiratory system will end at your terminal bronchiole. Okay? Terminal bronchiole. And then the respiratory portion of the respiratory system will begin with the respiratory bronchiole. Kasi nga, yung hanggang conducting portion, how air is being transported, o alas stress na, is being transported um, to the lungs, okay, is being will terminate at the terminal. Wait class ha, mag-message lang ako kay Dr. Hakub. Please, wait lang. Mga 5 to 10 minutes. Kasi 3 o'clock na eh. Okay, so bilisan na natin ha. Kasi ilang slides pa ba? 10 yata. Okay? So from there, no? From the respiratory bronchiole, anong kasunod, no? So we are now in the respiratory portion, no? So yung respiratory portion will begin at the respiratory bronchiole, and then after the respiratory bronchiole comes your alveolar ducts. So there are around 2 to 11 alveolar ducts. And then from the alveolar ducts, the last in the functional unit of the lungs is your alveolar sacs, which is lined by alveoli. Okay, so just take note of the picture and try to identify, the transition point from your respiratory portion, from the respiratory bronchiole, alveolar ducts, alveolar sac, and alveoli. Okay, so the bronchopulmonary segments, okay, so we already identified the different bronchopulmonary segments on the right and on the left. So the lobes of the lungs are subdivided into smaller units, which are what we call the bronchopulmonary segments. And I told you a while ago that the bronchopulmonary segment is the surgical unit of the lungs. So you know the reason already, class, no? So whenever is the location of the tumor, let's say for example, in the apical, okay, apical bronchopulmonary segment. So, if you're going to do segmentectomy, you can only remove, okay, you can only remove the apical bronchopulmonary segment. You do not need to take and look and remove the other segments of the lungs, not unless that other segments of the lungs are involved. Okay, but if they are not involved, then you can just remove the apical if the tumor is located at the apical bronchopulmonary segment. So, the bronchopulmonary segment is defined as the area of distribution of a bronchus. Okay? So, yung lahat ng BPS natin, no, there is a corresponding segmental bronchus. Okay, in every bronchopulmonary segments of the lungs. Okay, so ito yung picture ng ating bronchopulmonary segments. Okay, so please take a look. So I told you, let's say for example, no, ito yung upper lobe, no? And if the apical or the B1, okay, is the only one that is involved, okay, having the malignancy or a tumor, then you can just remove, okay, the apical. Okay, so this is how we're going to look at the different bronchopulmonary segment on the right side of the lung. So you're looking on the lateral view, and then this is the medial or the mediastinal view of the lungs. Okay, so as I said, the lobes of the lungs are subdivided into smaller subunits, okay, which are said to be called bronchopulmonary segments. Okay, so this bronchopulmonary segment, aside from very easy for us to identify which segments we are going to remove in case there are malignancy, then what are other reasons why identifying BPS is significant? Okay, for interpretation of radiograph images, surgical resection, superior lobe consists three segments. Okay, you know that already. Middle lobe, two segments, and then the inferior lobe, five segments. Okay, so we are talking on the right bronchopulmonary segments. So on the left side, okay, so this is how are you going to look at the lateral or the costal view and the mediastinal view of the left lung. Okay, so you identified already the superior lobe has two subdivisions, the upper division and the lower division. Okay, so the upper division of the um, left lobe of the left lung will be divided, no? The upper division will be consisting of the apicoposterior and the anterior, okay, bronchopulmonary segment. Okay, and then the lingular division, which is the lower division, will be consisting of the superior lingula and the inferior lingula. Okay, now the inferior lobe has five segments, no? So what are the five segments of the inferior lobe of the left lung? Anterior mediobasal, basal, lateral basal, posterior basal, superior, okay, superior bronchopulmonary segment. Okay, so kasi 5 minutes lang yung hiningi ko kay Dr. Hakub. Okay, so take note that the bronchopulmonary segments are usually pyramidal in shape. Okay, so they're pyramidal in shape with apices facing the lung root and the base at the pleural surface. Ito yung pleural surface, no? And then yung apex is facing the lung root. Ito yung lung root, yung hilum. So there are 18 to 20 in number on the right and right lung and 8 to 10 in the left. Okay, so this is said to be the largest subdivisions of a lobe, and it is separated by the connective tissue septa. Okay, so these are your segmental arteries. Okay, so the bronchopulmonary segments class are named according to the segmental bronchi that supply them. Okay, supplied by the segmental bronchus in a tertiary branch of the pulmonary artery. Okay, and then the bronchopulmonary segments are drained by the intersegmental parts of the pulmonary vein. And I told you that each bronchopulmonary segment is surgically resectable. Okay? So that is by doing a segmentectomy, depending on the location of the tumor or malignancy. Okay, so what are the vasculature of the lungs and the pleura? Okay, so take note of the rung in the left pulmonary arteries. So the origin, of course, of your blood supply of the lungs and the pleura is the pulmonary trunk. Okay, so from the pulmonary trunk, it will give up lobar arteries, segmental arteries, and take note that this side carries poor oxygenated blood to the lungs. Okay, so that is your pulmonary artery. It carry poorly oxygenated blood to the lungs. Okay, your pulmonary artery. Okay, so clinical notes. Okay, like for example, there is pulmonary embolism. You know already what is pulmonary embolism. Pulmonary embolism class is blood clot from leg vein. Usually the origin of embolism is coming from the leg vein. And then it will travel to the heart and lodge inside a blood vessel in the lungs. And then it will block blood supply, okay? And take note that pulmonary embolism is significantly very emergency. Okay? So, pulmonary embolism is caused by obstruction of pulmonary artery by a blood clot, and the blood clot usually comes from the leg vein and travel to the heart to the pulmonary artery. So, what will be the common manifestation if there will be pulmonary embolism? No, it will cause acute respiratory distress. Okay, so the patient will be dyspneic, the patient is uncomfortable, and the patient is irritable. Okay, what about the right and left pulmonary veins? Okay, so the pulmonary veins are the ones that carry the well oxygenated blood from the left lung, from the lungs to the left side of the heart, okay, to the atrium. Okay, so veins from the visceral pleura will drain into the pulmonary veins. So take note of your four pulmonary veins class. No? So at the back of your heart, you will see the uh, two pairs of your pulmonary veins. Okay, a pair of pulmonary vein on the left side and a pair of your pulmonary vein on the right side. Yeah, totally there are four pulmonary veins. These are seen at the back of the heart. Okay, so from there, okay, one right bronchial artery arise from the aorta, two left bronchial arteries arise from the thoracic, and then it is to supply the lungs and the visceral pleura. Okay, so please take note of this one. Okay, right and left pulmonary vein, bronchial veins, right bronchial vein will drain into the esophagus. Okay, and the left vein will drain into the accessory hemiesophagus vein. Ano tawag dito? Mr. President, kindly take a screenshot of the attendance. How many students are there? Okay, so this will be the last slide. Okay, nerve supply. So, nerve supplies could be parasympathetic and sympathetic. Okay, so you know already, class, and even telling you before that if it is parasympathetic, it is in association with your vagus nerve. So, what will be the manifestation if there will be some parasympathetic stimulation of the lungs and the pleura? There will be bronchoconstriction of the bronchus, vasodilatation of the vessel, and of course, secremotor. Okay? And then sympathetic stimulation will be by your sympathetic trunks. So what will be the manifestation if there will be sympathetic stimulation? Okay? Your bronchus will be dilated or there will be bronchodilation, vasoconstriction of vessel, inhibitory to alveolar glands of the bronchial tree. Okay? So, I think this is the last slide, class. Oh my God, 3:11 na. Sabi ko kay Doktora ako, 5 minutes lang. Okay, so this is the our lecture for this afternoon. So, I will not hold you for last because maybe Dr. Jacob is already waiting. Okay? So, please send me your screenshot of the attendance class, Mr. President. So you can leave and you may proceed to Dr. Hakum.
Sandali ah.
Hmm.